Good day to everybody. Glad the Lord and thankful that the Lord has given me the opportunity to speak my testimony again. This is part 2. At the end of part 1, I was talking about God being in control of everything. You see, I really wasn't in control of anything while I was there at the camp ministry. I'd let God be in control. Asked Him, I'd given Him control of everything. And in this story, there was a horse that had busted out of the fence. And so that now there's 2 horses out of the fence. It had busted out. There was 2 horses in this round pen, and one of them had chewed through and busted out. And it took it several days to do that. I was still there by myself, and the horse was running off down the road, and I really couldn't catch it. The other horse was following it, and I had kind of lost these 2 horses, and they'd gone and taken off, and there wasn't really anything I could do. And I thought about it, and I tried, and whatever I did myself, it was failing. It didn't work. And so I went back to the cabin, and I prayed about it, thought about it for a minute, and the next thing that happened was I thought, you've got apples in your fridge. And so it was like a light turned on, and I went to the fridge, grabbed a couple apples, and went out there and started walking down the road where the horses had gone. And when they turned to see me, and they thought I was gonna come and get them or whatever, and they noticed I wasn't doing that I just had an apple in my hand, and they began to follow me, and they followed me all the way down back to the round pen, and where I could put them up and repair the fence so they couldn't get out again. And that showed me again, I'm not in control. God is in control. He's in control of the things that happen. He allows things to happen. He's the one who's in control, and if we can, submit ourselves to Him and just let Him be in control of our lives, then we can see some miraculous things happen and changes in our lives, and the blessings that come about for trusting Him and letting go of control ourselves, really, and letting Him be the one in control of our lives, because without Him we just can't do it. Those 2 horses would have got away if I was left to my own capabilities, and there was many stories like that where you learn that you just need to give control up to God. There was a time when I was saddling up some horses, and saddled up this horse named Apple, took him out to the field, had him all ready for some horse rides, and this one young gal gets on the horse. Parents put her up there, and you could just see the fear in her face. She was so afraid being up on that horse for the first time. It scared her. It is pretty intimidating to be up on a horse for the first time. You sit pretty high up sometimes, depending on the horse, and she was scared. You could see it in her face. And as we took a few steps, and I led the horse into the field, and I kept watching her to make sure she was okay, and slowly that look of fear on her face turned to joy, and in that joy there was tears coming out of this young girl's eyes, and the joy of overcoming her fear, the fear she had, the joy of doing something for the first time. And that really struck me, and I realized how thankful I was to be there and to be part of a ministry for the Lord, and all the lessons that I had been learning, and just overcoming things and giving control to God. And I just had felt so thankful. And it wasn't till a few days after this camp was over and I was there by myself again that it really struck me and how thankful I was, and it really just brought me to my knees. I fell to my knees right there in the grass where I was working at the time on the grounds, and I just fell to my knees and just thanked the Lord. And I had tears in my eyes, tears of joy, and and it was just an amazing experience to see that girl, the fear in her face, be overcome with joy in the Lord. And we can overcome these things in our lives. So one of the things I want to talk about, I really want to go into the camp ministry and some of the things I learned about it in this part of my testimony. And one of the things I learned at camp, and this was a theme that happened quite a bit over and over, it was a part of every camp that came, every time we held a revival, and that is that when people come there, they're so used to living in the world, and when they come there to the wilderness, the world is gone. All the amenities and the technology and everything is basically left behind. Hopefully you leave your phone behind or shut it off. And the world is gone, and people just don't feel right when they get there because the world is gone, and it makes them want to leave, and many times people do leave. And there was one time, and there was a few carloads of people who had been there for one day, and the very next day they all wanted to leave. They just didn't feel right. They didn't feel comfortable. Something didn't feel right with them, and it made them want to leave. And this kind of is a recurring theme that happens up there during these revivals. Well, there was 5 or 6 or 7 of us, maybe more, but there was probably 7 people who were sitting there in the chapel waiting for chapel to start, and all these carloads of people were leaving the revival. And so we all started praying. Nobody really said anything to each other, but I was praying, and I know some other people were praying because we talked about it afterwards. But shortly, both of those carloads of people had turned around and come back and decided to stay, and those prayers were answered. And we had all talked to each other and agreed, yeah, we were praying. We didn't talk to each other, but everyone was out sitting there praying that they would come back, or the Lord's will would be done. And these people came back, and the great thing about it was that at least 3 people from that group, if not more, ended up giving their lives to God and accepting the Lord that week. And they probably wouldn't have if they had gone home that day and followed those feelings of the world being missing or something was wrong. And that's a testimony to the camp ministry. If you are having trouble finding the Lord, go to a revival ground, go to a camp, leave the world behind, and go up there and seek Him out, and you'll